Hello, welcome to Honey Show Live. I'm Roger Patterson, I'm the lecture convener, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the presentations tomorrow. We've got four presentations. Steve Martin will be talking about moving away from mic control. Joe Ibbotson, who is going to speak about free living bees. He's involved with the forest up in Northampton. And then there's going to be a question and answer session, basic discussion about varroa resistant bees. That's going to be chaired by Robert Pickard. And then our main overseas speaker, Umberto Boncristiani, is going to speak about the world of honeybee health. We've had a very good presentation today, very good program today. And I've got with me Jackie Thomas, who spoke to us this morning about the Yellow Legged Hornet and the amount of work that she's been doing with the Dover Beekeepers Association in Kent. So Jackie, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in Kent this year and the results and that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, thank you for having to talk about this. Yes, we're just finishing our third year of helping the National Bee Unit inspectors monitor, find hornets and destroy nests. So we follow a similar model to the Guernsey beekeepers, in so much that we actually monitor, we put our traps out on a grid system. We cover some 300 kilometres squared, and we divide that up into 75 blocks, and each of the blocks will have 4 traps. The traps will go towards the centre of each block, and so it builds up into a grid where traps are no more than 1 kilometre apart, theoretically, okay, give or take. If one beekeeper did tell me I was asking them to put a trap out on a train line, which was a bit of a big ask, but they within reason. And the rationale behind that is that workers, and it's workers that we monitor for, workers will travel 700 metres, so theoretically a nest will be no more than 500 metres from a trap. We don't get every nest, I'm sure of that, but we only need to catch that one hornet, and then the National Bee Unit inspectors come in and do their tremendously good job of trap trace and destroying the nest.
Well, this is an invasive species, and there are going to be some non-beekeepers watching. So why are we trying to control it?
Right, and I think this is a really important message to get out. Obviously, as a beekeeper, I am very concerned because a bee colony is an eat or you can die now. The bee colony is not going anywhere, and the hornets will come back time and time again. So that for beekeepers and beekeepers in Kent, if we don't keep on top of this, I think there will be areas where beekeeping will not be possible because of the level of nest. However, in a recent study, 43 of the top 50 pollinators were found to be fed to the larvae of Asian hornets.
So it is an issue for everybody, and the pollinators, which quite frankly are under threat anyway, aren't they? For other reasons. How do you think they're getting here?
My personal belief is that they're coming mainly over from the continent, from France, where they are well established. We occasionally, we generally have southwesterlies in our area, but occasionally we get extremely strong winds from the south, and I think they just come over. They have been seen to hitch a ride, the odd one on a ferry, that has been known. But the distribution of the nests is round the coast. And in 23, when we had our last big Vesper year, and all the nests, well, not all, majority of nests were found around the coast, from Deal through to Hythe. There was no genetic relationship between the queens that had founded those nests, so they were all individual incursions. And so and again this year we've got them mainly round the coast.
Well, that makes sense, because we get flurries of things like cloud and yellow butterflies, which I think must come in on wind. Yeah, I don't think they come in every year, but I think they come in quite regularly, and it's thought that they come in on the wind. What do you think the general public's view is of them? Are they well aware of them, or do we need to do more work?
Right. I think back in 23, it was only beekeepers that knew about them, and as a beekeeper, we've been charting their travels up through France, watching the French beekeepers' posts and things like that. But we've done an awful lot of publicising it, and there are very few people in our area that don't have a knowledge of the Asian hornet. Whether they can recognise it, whether they know how to report it, I think we have more work to do there. But can I say, this year we have found hornet nests in playhouses, children's playhouses, in discarded water tanks. Bird nesting boxes are a favourite. Barbecues. So again, the public are going to be involved whether they like it or not. And I have been told by friends who go over to the continent that if you have a barbecue, because the nests are so numerous over there, the hornets turn up as an uninvited guest. It's rather like wasps do. The trouble is, their stings, if you start to swat them, are somewhat longer.
Yeah, and presumably a bit more uncomfortable.
I think they will be, because
so it's something that really affects everyone then.
Everyone.
So we've gone from just beekeepers being involved to involving anyone involved with wildlife, pollinating insects, to really what's effectively a health and safety issue.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that people are starting to get the idea that this is going to be something which will affect them, and certainly this year we tried to encourage members of the public in August to set up open bait stations, just to see, in a safe manner, I'll point that out, but just to see what comes in and feeds, and to take photographs if they suspect something's an Asian hornet. We're not expecting them to catch them, but we would just like to know they're in that area, and then we would come in and put out lidded monitoring traps to catch the.
What is the legal situation? Are general public allowed to track them or not?
You can trap that. Obviously, if you feel confident and safe enough to do that, you can trap. But once trapped, and trap could mean in a jam jar, in a net. After that, you cannot release them because they're a non-native species. I'm not even allowed to release them. Once caught, that's it. We would have asked them if they did catch a hornet to report it using the Asian Hornet Watch app, and then stick the body in the freezer. Because at present, all bodies go for genetic testing. They're looking at relationships between nests.
And how many of your members are involved in monitoring?
Right. We have about 120 members all told, and we have 60 something plus members.
So it's 50%.
Easily. We work on the fact that we're all in this together, and really, I have to say, it's my old teacher hat on. I don't allow anyone to step back from it. You know, it is onerous. The monitoring is onerous, and the more people involved, the less work it is for each individual.
But excuse me for being rude, but this is presumably all unpaid. Completely.
Oh yes.
And what about the publicity to the general public? What have you got, leaflets or?
Yeah, we post on over 40 something community web groups, you know. So for us as the Dover Asian Hornets at btinternet.com, that's our face. But the National Bee Unit provide a lot of materials, free materials, which we distribute. You won't go very far in Kent without finding a poster. Just as an aside, I went to do a triage to look to see whether this was an active nest, and the hornet had set up its primary nest in a barbecue on an allotment. The barbecue was there, you looked to the back of the shed, and the Asian Hornet poster, like a mugshot, was on the wall there. So you can't go very far. One of the bee inspectors said that they were out and about doing some track and trace, and some children came up to them and said, "Oh, we know what you're doing. You're looking for the Asian Hornet, aren't you?" It's, you know, so it is very well known.
So it is working. I've seen the spots on the map, and it's not a blot really. So you're effectively being a barrier to the rest of the country almost. The amount of work you're doing there is tremendous, and the country really should be very grateful. Bearing in mind that Dover and District Beekeeping Association is just effectively for ordinary amateur small-scale beekeepers, is there any financial burden on you? I mean, do you actually need any money from anywhere?
Well, we only charge, as I say, members something like £9 fund for the year. That's that's all we charge them. And so all this, because Trappit alone, 5 litres of Trappit is £50 plus. We designed our own trap, and we made our own trap. So we actually, for 40 pence a trap, and my husband is very good at this. He's produced hundreds of those. We have had small amounts of money from the councils. They've been very good. The Dahan Trust gave us quite a big tranche of money last year, which was set us up, and BBKA have also given us money for Trappit. So we don't just look for money for the sake of it. Money that we ask when we need it.
It's for consumables.
Yes, for consumables. But otherwise it would bankrupt us, and we still want to continue with all the other beekeeping related things which cost money, keeping our apiary going. But that's fundamentally while we're there.
The Dover District are a division of Kent Association. You're all on your own. How are you getting on with the surrounding beekeeping associations? You must have about 4 down there, have you?
Yes.
Yeah,
we have. Well, I keep saying that this is the best thing that's ever happened, really. The only positive that's come out of Asian Hornets incursion. Ashford, Canterbury, Whitstable and Herne and Thanet, who border us, but we really didn't interact with them at all. You know, we were very much isolated. But since we've been working together on the Asian hornet, I help with training in Ashford, and we have barbecues. You know, it really has increased the contact, and I think that's really good.
So you've been going for 3 years or more. I assume you took a bit of advice from elsewhere, but are there any things that you now think we shouldn't have done that, would have been better off doing so and so? Have you learned very much?
We've honed the first year we were not ready for it. I mean, I'm only in this position as Asian Hornet coordinator by default.
You mean because nobody else can do it?
That's it. And when I started to ring around, because I was just one of the team members, there were people with broken legs or changed jobs, couldn't do it. And 23, it was clear by the end of July that it wasn't going to be a normal year. So I said, right, I'll step up, not really knowing what I was letting myself in for. We just got all the traps out that we could that year. I mean, we had no pattern. We just tried to flood the area, and it seemed to work. But what we're aiming for is something which is strategic and sustainable and is spread amongst all the members, you know, so that each member plus a deputy will have a particular role which they know is their job to do. It might be ordering the leaflets, it might be buying in the trap pit, it might be making some of the traps, but they'll all have a role. And really, I'll have my role, but it won't depend on me, because I feel, you know, you're of an age, you never know what's going to happen. I don't want it all just to fall apart because I'm not able to do this. So I would advise anyone who is an AHAT, whatever you do, think about the longer term and set up something which is sustainable, because certainly in Dover, this will be something we have to do every year. Just even if it's only to check out what's there.
Yeah. I assume your area, you've got urban areas, you've also got rural areas.
It's very rural. I don't think people think about the southeast as being sort of a developed area. You know, it's not at all.
So how do you cover the less populated areas?
With this grid trapping, we have these 75 blocks of 4 kilometres square, and each of those areas will have 4 traps, whether it's urban, whether it's rural, 4 traps. And some members are walking at half an hour to get to their trap to monitor it, to let out bycatch. And they will do that for 3 weeks in August. We wait till the nests.
Bycatch for viewers.
Bycatch is anything other than the Asian hornet, because our traps have got a sponge at the bottom, so we try to release anything which is not an Asian hornet. I understand that it probably stresses those insects, but one Asian hornet nest will actually take 11 kilograms of kill in order to feed it. So I did not a very scientific exercise, but I did monitor what was in my traps in 24 when I did a bit of queen trapping. We had 12 traps out for 4 months, and I had less than half a pound, if that, a bycatch in there. They were flies, you know, that sort of thing. Very small biomass.
Yeah, but you better repeat for the viewers the weight that an Asian hornet nest will take.
11 kilograms.
11
I am
kilos.
told by someone who knows better than myself that that's the weight of something like a tire. 11 kilograms. So
that is
It's significant.
millions of insects, yeah.
Absolutely, and that was a research paper that was done in France some years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Jackie. Thank you for your time. And for everybody else, both beekeepers and non-beekeepers, this is a very serious issue. So please help if you can.